welcome to my channel. My name is Janie. Today I'm doing my first ever book related video on this channel. Today I'm reviewing Dead Silence by S.A Barnes. This is a sci-fi horror and I have a lot to say about it. This was actually the first book that I read for this year, 2022. There are going to be some spoilers in this video towards the end. Don't worry, I will let you know well in advance, but I do want to talk about the ending because it's something that leaves people feeling very polarized. So our protagonist, Claire, is soon to be unemployed. She works for like this repair crew in space. They repair beacons. One day they get a distress call, decide to check it out, and then they find this abandoned, or so they think, ship that went missing 20 years ago. It's a luxury spaceliner, so it's kind of like the Titanic. It does give those vibes. I know it's been described like that a lot. It's like the Titanic meets The Shining meets, in my opinion, Dead Space, the horror game, like the video game. I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was super well written. I am a sucker for any kind of movie, film, book that talks about distress signals, because you always know that it's not a good idea, and somehow it always happens in my favorite movies, in my favorite books. They decide to check it out, and sometimes, a lot of times, bad things end up happening. So this book is very creepy. There is some gore, there is, you know, obviously that sci-fi element, but this is a very easy, it's not like high sci-fi, you know what I mean? It's very easy to kind of get into, even if you've never read anything from that genre. I think the author does a really good job of making you feel claustrophobic, of making you feel concerned. You also kind of have a slightly unreliable narrator. Claire suffers from trauma because she's a survivor of another event early on in her childhood, and I think that plays a role in how she is affected by going onto this space liner that went missing so many years ago. And the reason they do it is because in the hopes of obviously saving whoever's in need, but really in kind of being able to salvage anything that they can sell for a high profit. I will say the ending is the one thing that I know everyone talks about. It's a little disappointing. I didn't really mind because I am used to horror books or sci-fi books or movies always having either a super open-ended kind of like who knows what ends up happening to them, or like a slasher vibe, or to me, there's always some kind of disappointment with a lot of the horror books that I read. So I wasn't super disappointed. You do get answers. It's just not, I think, what the book builds up all this tension, and then when you find out what it is, it's kind of like, oh, okay, that's it. I didn't mind it. Like I said, I still really enjoyed it. There's a little bit of romance in this book, which I was also surprised about, and I also really enjoyed that. It's definitely not too much, but it's enough to get you rooting for the characters, in my opinion, a little bit more. So I do recommend this book if you're looking for something new, something fast-paced, something creepy, a little bit suspenseful, a little bit claustrophobic. It's a little bit of gore, like I said, a little bit of violence. I don't think it's anything too much. There's two different timelines in the story. There's a timeline of when they're arriving at that space liner and investigating and trying to salvage anything that they can use to resell. And there's the other timeline of once Claire has escaped, she is being investigated as the sole survivor of her crew. So it can get a little tricky, and it kind of jumps between action and her explaining what's happening, because obviously she looks very guilty at this point. So here's the part where we're going to talk about spoilers. So for the ending, okay, so the ending, since this is my ebook, I have it screenshotted, like the moment when you find out what's really occurring on this ship. There's a lot of little details that lead up to this, but basically one of the people reveals, like, we just wanted to make the high profile guest a little uncomfortable, so our scientists found that intense vibrations at a specific sub-audible decimal level when generated in a closed environment can cause headaches, paranoia, unaccountable dread, depression, visual hallucinations, and maybe 2% of the population, generally those who are already experiencing mental instability. So vibrations, they made the ship ring like a bell. That's what he's saying, only at a level that no one can hear. So that's what's causing the paranoia and the hysteria and the violence that you see, is people going like crazy because there's a sound that they can't hear at a frequency they can't pick up. But because of the new technology in the space liner, it was very concentrated. It's basically, they're trying to scare these rich people into never booking with this company again, and instead it becomes chaos, and people who are already mentally vulnerable only escalated into something even more intense. So that's it. It's not really monsters or anything, although the protagonist, like I said, she's unreliable. She has some trauma. She has this ability to see ghosts ever since she was a little kid. So she does see some ghosts of these passengers, or like flashbacks, or moments where they appear to her in moments of distress. But at the end of the day, it's not a monster related sci-fi horror. It's not like Dead Space, the video game, where you're dealing with some like erratic aliens or demons, whatever they were. I don't mind it. It's kind of grounded in reality, minus the fact that she sees these ghosts throughout her whole life. But I really liked it. Like, I thought it was really cool. I thought it was really fun. I get it. It's kind of like, oh really, like that's it? And then not only that, but once you get the reveal, you still have to wait for her to figure out how to get out of there, and like, is she gonna survive? Is she going down with this ship? Honestly, I'm a fan, and I would love to see more from this writer in particular. She does a really good job of painting a vivid picture in your head. So yeah, those are my thoughts on this book. Let me know if you've read it down below, and I will see you very soon with another video. Bye.